My name is Raquel. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all new and returning viewers. Today is Sunday, August the 5th, and I'm joined here by my co-host, Mr. Rusty, who either has to be on my lap or on the table, but because it's too hot today, he's decided to be on the table. But he wants constant attention, especially, usually when I'm knitting, he's fine. He does come for a little bit, and then I show him the scissors and he wanders off, because if I show him the scissors, it usually means I'm going to be cutting some of his hair or something like that. So he doesn't particularly want to do that. Although he's in need of a bit of a shave again because of the heat. We're going through a bit of a heat wave at the moment, just like most of Europe is, and it's already about 30 degrees this morning. I went out like half an hour ago with the dogs, and it was already very, very hot. It doesn't even, like, during the night it stays around the 28, 27 degree mark, so it doesn't make for very good sleeping, but yeah, I mean, I don't mind the heat too much. I'm going to be doing that quite a lot during the podcast because I'm dripping here, melting away, literally. The reason being, I don't have my fan on right now so that there's not too much background noise, and you can't see this, but Rusty is like putting his paws on my hand, saying that he wants attention, that I can't be talking to you guys and showing off what I'm about to show, that I have to be petting him. So I'll do that with one hand and try to show you things with the other hand when I can. Anyway, in case you're wondering, I'm back down to 3 pets. The cat, or the female cat that I showed last time I podcast, I had to take her back to the vet. I wasn't going to keep her anyway. She was just a foster kitten, and it just wasn't going too good with her and my cat, Soot, because she just wouldn't leave him alone. He'd be nice and quiet in his own little corner, sleeping and not bothering anyone, and she'd go up to him and smack him over the head, and it was probably just wanting to play with him, but he wasn't having any of it. And during that time I could see that he was getting slightly depressed. He wasn't really eating. He was very wary of me going towards him. He didn't want anything to do with me. He was avoiding the dogs and everything, and that's something he usually doesn't do. So she was recovered enough from her sterilization operation that she could go back to the vet, and unfortunately, I mean, here she had the run of the house. She could go where she wanted to a certain limit. There she's in a little cage and she doesn't get let out or anything, so that's the only downside. But yeah, I just didn't have the space for her to stay here, and I gotta think about my pets first, and the health of them, and yeah, so Soot comes first, unfortunately, along with my dogs, obviously. Let's see, enough now, okay? Enough? Okay. He's like literally on the edge of the table, because he thinks he's a cat. He's a dog, but it's probably my fault, because ever since he was a little puppy, when he was with me at the office, I always had him on top of the table so I could keep an eye out on him, and I wouldn't, if I moved my chair, I wouldn't accidentally run him over or anything. So that's why he was always on top of the table. So now he thinks that's his place to be. So while Dakota's on the floor, his place is on top of the table. He needs to be higher. He's small. He needs to be up high so he can see everything. Anyway, let's start with the knitting. I have a finished object to show you. 2 whips. I'm going to show you some yarn for test knit I'm going to do, and that's like the last time you're going to see it. I might show you the swatch of it the next time. However, this is a very secret test knit. It's going to be eventually published in a magazine, and so I cannot show any of it until it's been published. I have a deadline for... Off you go. There you go. I have a deadline of that for the 12th of September. So, but I only got the yarn Thursday? Yeah, on the 2nd of August. That's when I got the yarn. But in the meantime, I started a cardigan, which I really ideally want to finish first before I start another one. And then I have some other plans, but I'll get to those in just a minute. First, I'm going to show you my finished object, which is the shawl I designed, the Nzimbi shawl, and I knit up the prototype of it in Manos Alegria yarn for the Nagulia, for the shop from Malika, and then I decided I wanted to knit another version of it, like an even larger version, the way I had originally envisioned the shawl. And I decided to go with Ovelha Negra's Olivia yarn, which is a 55% cotton, 55% merino, 45% cotton yarn, which is great for those cooler summer nights, and it's great for the winter because it has the merino. It's really super warm. So last time I showed you, I'd done the full 9 repeats of the lace section, and I had gotten up to here on the shawl. So since then, I finished the shawl. So from this section, and I have a whole bunch of stitch markers in there. That's what I use to on shawls anyway. It's what I use to mark what I've done in a day, just so I know, so I can see, well, yesterday I did a lot more than today, or something like that. So from here, I've done this all the way to here, and I've not done the decreases the way I've put them in the pattern I published. By the way, I put up a revision of the pattern maybe last week, because chart A and chart B were missing a little square in the chart, so I've corrected that. And other than that, nothing. The cast on stitch count for option A and B has also changed. So those are the only two things that have been changed. So if you're doing option C, then that's fine. You weren't affected by the change. So I initially chose 3 colors, which were these 3 colors. So light purple, or light lavender color, I suppose. Then this pink, and this purple. And unfortunately, I don't know I think this one was called Frisia. Other than that, I don't know the names of these 2 because I don't have they're new colors, and they're not on the. I have to ask the owner of Ovelha Negra to see if she has the shade card, and so I can see the names of the colors, because I like knowing the names of the colors. Otherwise, it's just number, and So then, because I was getting to the point where I was running out of the pink yarn, and I needed to either decide to carry on just with the purple yarn I had left over, or I needed to add something, because the purple yarn I had left over wasn't a lot, and I couldn't finish the shawl the way to the size I wanted it. So I remembered in stash I had a darker purple, or I thought I had a little bit of a darker purple still left over, and I had some yellow, which would go nicely. The other colors I had were green and blues, and I didn't think that would go really nicely with the shawl so far. So I ended up finding a darker color, which is this darker purple here, and that's passion flower. And then I added the aconite, which is the yellow. And then every time I changed colors, I started doing the decreases at a faster rate. So first I started every 8 rows, then I did every 6 rows, then every 4 rows, every 2 rows, and then every single row when I started doing the purple and the yellow, when I added in the yellow. So that's why here it looks like it's a faster rate of decrease. But anyway, so I haven't blocked this yet, but I will be blocking it. Now I don't have the space here to block it properly, maybe, but then again, I don't really need to block the garter section because it's already so long. I don't really need to, and it's nice and fluffy. I don't need to block that part. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to soak the whole thing after I finish filming the podcast, and then I'm going to block this part not too aggressively. I mean, I'm going to block it so that everything comes out nicely, because I know from experience that this yarn does break easily once if you stretch it out too much. So I don't want to rip any yarn. So that's what I'm going to do after I finish filming the podcast. So yeah, it's too hot to put on right now, but it's nice, super sized shawl. And basically I used 200 grams of yarn on this. 200 grams in this case would be 350, about like 1400 meters, so about 1500 yards or so of fingering yarn. And this is light fingering. I consider this more light fingering than actual fingering. It's very thin compared to a RGO or the minus the Ravelry that I used. It's quite thin, so I'd consider this more a light fingering than an actual fingering or something. It's almost a lace in terms of yardage, because it's got about 700 meters per 100 grams. So that's probably more lace. Yeah, it's considered a fingering, so I'd say a light fingering. So that was my one finished object. And then I have multiple finished objects, but they're kind of part of a bigger project, so they're still kind of whips. So I've been working on the Battenberg blankets, and it's a crochet blanket. And I've shown you this before, but I had to switch boxes because it was not fitting in the other box I had it. And now I've also started the second move. So I filled up the whole box, as you can see, and I've now started a second row of squares. And I'm still not there. At last count, I think I still needed about 120 squares to go. And I thought of maybe starting to put it together, but I was like, no, I'm going to finish off all the squares. Finish making all the squares, and then I'll start putting it together. Now, whenever I have yarn left over, I don't sometimes have enough to complete a square, so I put that piece of yarn aside, and I've been making a magic ball, which I'll be caking up eventually, and it's going to go into my other crochet blanket, which is just the granny stripe blanket. So this is what it looks like at the moment. A whole bunch of fun colors. And so whenever I finish the color in terms of squares, I weigh the sorry, I have a dry throat. I weigh the squares to know how much yardage I've used, and then the rest goes into this, so that I know for that as well. This year, I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but this year I'm like really keeping track of everything. So how many grams I'm, just how many grams I'm knitting, so that also adds in the meters and yards I'm knitting, how much I'm buying, and it's actually helped me a lot to not buy so much, except for June when I went a bit crazy, and yeah. And in July I managed to only buy one yarn, but that was for the blanket, so that was project specific. And this month I received yarn. I haven't bought any yarn. I bought some roving, and I'll show you that in a minute. But we're in the whip section, so I'm going to show you the whips I'm working on. So that's the Battenberg blanket. I have 120 odd squares to go still, and then I've already made a schematic and know more or less where I'm going to put all the colors. So maybe next time I can show you that, because the yarn I have left over to still make squares from is not going to be enough to make the 120 squares. And I have a shawl planned, which was the Isolde Mystery Cal that she was hosting through July. I wasn't able to participate. I bought the pattern, but I wasn't able to keep up with the clues, so I decided to, because I had other things planned, so I decided to, you know what, it's just going to be a project I do in August maybe. So In the meantime, I signed up for a testnet, which is a secret testnet, so I can only show you the yarn, which I'll do in a minute, but then I can't show you any of the progress until the pattern has been published, which will be later in the year, and it's going to be published in a magazine. So the other width that I started, or the other width I have on my needles, literally on my needles, because that's a crochet one, so it's on the hook, but I haven't got anything on there so at the moment. I decided to make the Little Waves cardigan by Gudrun Johnson, and that was published several years ago in the Brooklyn Tweed, in a Brooklyn Tweed collection. I think it was a BT Fall one, but I'm not sure which one it was anymore. However, I don't have easy access to the loft yarn that they call for, and I substituted it with the Olivia yarn in this color, and I've doubled it up. There, that's a pretty accurate rendering of the color. So I'm doubling it, and Joanna at the Olivia Negra was kind enough to scan up 4 100-gram cakes for me, so that it would be easier, seeing as I needed 9 of them anyway, and she didn't have enough caked up for me to take, so she needed to cake up anyway. So this is 100 grams, and this is what it usually comes in. This is 50 grams. So big difference. So I got 4 of these to make up the 8, and then I got the extra small one, or the regular size one, as the 9th one. And the way I'm going now, I might not even need this one, but I can always trade it for another color or just leave it in my stash, because I actually have some Kid Silk Haze in this color, which I can maybe buy some more and use that with the Kid Silk Haze. We'll see. I might actually need it, I don't know. So I started doing the Little Waves cardigan, and I've continued with it, but I'm not doing the stitch pattern that it uses because it just wasn't coming out nicely in this yarn. It needs this yarn is too soft. If I had maybe done this in Ophelia, which is 100% wool, it might have come out better. But to double Ophelia, that would have been a really super warm cardigan for me, and it's something I would have ended up not using. Whereas I've made 2 sweaters in Ophelia doubled, and I use that a lot during the winter, because that for me is enough to get me like on cold days, because it doesn't really get cold here in Portugal, let's be truthful. I know everyone complains about the cold, but if you've lived in Holland for most of your life, where temperatures in the winter go below 0, when you have a winter where temperatures during the day are 15 degrees, I'm sorry, that's not winter, that's like early spring, late autumn, for me anyway. And I've lived here for 10 years now, and that's still my opinion. I still don't think that 15 degrees in the winter is cold. But again, my opinion. So I know there's people out there that will not agree with me, that they'll think the winter is like super cold, and they'll complain about the rain, and they'll complain. You know what? Why complain about the weather? We can't do anything about it. I mean, now there's people complaining that it's too hot because we're going through a heat wave, just like the rest of Europe. We're not, you know, it's not only here. But anyway, my rant's over. I'm not gonna mention weather anymore. Temperatures. Okay, so I'm doing the Little Waves cardigan. I'm basically taking the whole structure of the Little Waves cardigan and using that, except for the waist shaping. I decided not to do the waist shaping because the way it was set up, I don't think the length of the cardigan was enough for the length I wanted it. And if I ended up doing the waist shaping, then I would have to add in a whole bunch more rows. Also, my stitch count isn't exactly on gauge according to the pattern, but that doesn't bother me too much. I picked a size knowing it would fit because it's a cardigan. It'll stretch. It doesn't have buttons, so it doesn't close, and that's fine by me. So I did a whole bunch like I said, I started with the stitch pattern that the pattern has, and I ended up ripping it out, and I didn't take any photos of it because I just didn't like the way it came out. So what I decided to do was just plain fronts, the plain fronts, and then I did keep the garter below the arms, or like on the sides, and then for the back I just chose a simple lace pattern that it's like really easy to memorize, and that's what I've done. So having restarted it, I've not actually done too badly, and again you see the stitch marker. This is what I did yesterday. I basically doubled the, so I started this on the first, and then on the second I ripped out what I'd done, except for the ribbing. That one was okay. So I had maybe like that much done with the pattern, so I ripped that out, and then so from the first to the third, from Wednesday to Friday when I started this, from here to here, that's what I did. And then yesterday I managed to do all of this in the morning, and then I went to knit group in Famalicão, and I did, with talking, I did a whole bunch. And like I said, it's such an easy lace pattern that it was easy enough that I could just sit there and chat with the ladies. And I've got a whole bunch of stitch markers in here, all of them made by me. I haven't made any more of these. These were just like ones that were flawed, so that's why I'm keeping them. But I have a whole bunch more of these little plastic beads that I can make stitch markers if you're interested, in a whole bunch of colors. So the lace repeat is this. You can see it there. It's just a simple lace repeat. And now I have like another 30 rows or something to do. And yes, you saw this right. It's a bottom-up cardigan, which is not something I usually do. So I have about 30 rows to do. That's what I want to do today. And then to get rid of these annoying things that are constantly getting caught up in the yarn, like right now, this pattern has pockets. And it says to put stitches on hold and then cast on stitches. I wasn't going to do that. I just did knit from back for however many stitches the pattern called for, and then put them on a cable. But now these cables are annoying the hell out of me because, like I said, it keeps getting caught up in the yarn, and like I've doubled the yarn, so it sometimes just catches one strand. So as soon as I finish the body, I'm just going to get 2 other cakes of yarn, and I'm going to do the pockets first for this, however high I want them. Tack them down, sew them to the piece. And what I've thought maybe is with the pockets, maybe add in a bit of the lace, so that I have a tiny little bit of the lace on the front as well. And then after that, I'll just do the sleeves like it calls for, and then carry on with the rest of the pattern. So I'm hoping to have this done by next week, so that I can focus on the test knit that I have to do. Let's put it all back before the cat comes and plays with the yarn. He's actually quite good lately. He doesn't really play much with the yarn. So now on to acquisitions, which I haven't actually bought. I've received yarn for various so the yarn I'm going to show you now is for test knit. I'm going to be doing for a cardigan, again a cardigan, and like I said, this one I can show you the yarn. I'll show you, I still need to knit a swatch to make sure that I get the right stitch count, as it is when I'm knitting things for myself from patterns, if I don't get the exact stitch count, I'm not too worried. I'll just do the calculations I need to get to the size I want to make. For test knits, I tend to I tend to really try my best to get as close to the stitch count as they ask for, so that they get a more accurate reading of how much yarn is necessary for that size. That's usually why also that they ask multiple people to test multiple various sizes, so that they don't only have information from one person. I know that the test knit I finished for Tin Can Knits, the sweater I did for them, which I still can't show because it's not been published, but if you follow in Tin Can Knits on Instagram, you will have seen the sweater already, because they have been showing it. They've told us not to show anything on Instagram. I've not put up anything on Ravelry. I know other people have. I've only uploaded those generic photos where you see just the yarn, or just, I've not shown any of the patterning on the yoke, and I've not shown the whole thing. I've emailed the photos I have taken. I've emailed them directly to Tin Cannons, to Emily and to Alexa, and they've responded, and they really like the sweater. And but I will only be publishing those photos once the pattern has officially been released. If a designer tells me not to show anything, I will not show anything. Same thing here. I will show you the yarn, which is Rosario's Belmont, Rosario's Quack Belmont, and this is 100% organic yarn. So it's 50% cotton, 50% wool. It doesn't say if the wool is from Portugal, but it's 100% organic wool and organic cotton. And I had initially chosen a different color, but that one wasn't available because I got yarn like this. I was given the yarn to test knit, so that was great. I got yarn support. Usually I end up having to buy the yarn myself, which is fine. I've signed up for a test knit, so I know I have to either already have the yarn in stash, or I need to buy the appropriate yarn to make the item. But getting yarn support is fantastic. And this way, this is a new yarn that Rosario's 4 is coming out with. Like I said, it's called Belmont. Let's see if you can, there you go. And it's got a little heart, and it says 100% organic. This is from the eco-friendly collection. And like I said, I had a different color in mind first, a brown color, but that wasn't available in the quantity that was needed, and so then I gave a list of all the other colors I would like, and I got this one. I didn't know which color I was going to get, because Filipa Nionoi, she's the one the designer, she has contacts with the Rosarios, and they're the ones that ended up sending yarn that they had available in the right amounts that was needed. So this is color 31, and it's like nice green. It's like a barber polling effect going on with, I believe the cotton is probably the lighter green, and then the wool is most likely the darker green. Because I know that cotton takes, it's harder to dye cotton than it is to dye wool. So I'm going to swatch. Like I said, first I'm going to work on my cardigan, because I'm almost done with the body, and I want to finish that. I'm hoping to have the body and maybe one of the pockets finished by the end of today. I can knit fine with the fan on, and the fan it's in constant movement, but it's facing me. So I've been knitting like this for the last 2-3 weeks. No, since I took a week off in July, basically. So going on a month now. Anyway, so that's the first yarn that I received. This one. And that's for test knit. Now, the other yarn I received was yesterday at Dona Agulha, and this one I will be able to show you the progress because it's just a sample I'm going to be knitting. I'm just going to get everything out of the yarn, the ball, everything out the bag so that I can show you instead of grabbing things. Okay, so yesterday, while at Dona Agulha in Famalicão, during the knit group, I was working on my cardigan. And then Angela, who's the owner, she'd received some yarn from one of the suppliers that she gets yarn from. In this case, the fiber company, who'd sent her 2 skeins of a new yarn that they have called War, and they also sent her patterns for her to knit samples with. So I'm going to knit mittens out of this yarn that I'm going to show you in a minute. And she had 2 colors. She had a pink and she had a green. It's like heathered effect, super soft. It's 100% wool. So it's 100% Kent lamb's wool from Romney sheep. And I've not knit anything with Romney wool, I don't think. I wouldn't say the yarn is super soft, being lamb's wool. I'd expect it maybe to be softer, but it's not too rough either. I can easily wear this next to skin, and I'm 100% sure that after washing this is gonna soften up really well. So I'm gonna be knitting mittens out of, I ended up choosing the pink to come home because the mittens were shown in the pink color, so I said, well, I'll do it. So this is Lore, like the label, and there's the color. It's a pretty accurate rendering of the color. So the name of the color is Gentle, and this is 100 grams, 250 meters, 273 yards. So it's a DK yarn, and yeah, I'm really gonna enjoy knitting the mittens with this because they're all cabled, textured pattern and cabled. So I think it's gonna, from the pictures I've seen, it's gonna come out really, really nice. So yeah, and like I said, like heathered effect, as you can see. So I'm really gonna like it. It has like a whole story here on the side. I'm not gonna read the whole thing, but it is DK weight woolen spun. So I'd say it's equivalent to Brooklyn Tweed yarn. So maybe if when she gets this yarn in stock, and there's more colors, I can maybe order this yarn to make some of the Brooklyn Tweed patterns. This is the DK weight one, so I can only use this for the loft, which would be more or less an equivalent, I think. So yeah, so that's the other yarn I got. Again, didn't buy. I got this to knit mittens that will be samples in the shop, and I'm just gonna do the smaller size. I think. Yeah, that's it. Then what I did buy was some roving, like I mentioned earlier, and not just any roving. I got RGO roving, people. I got Nube, which is hand-dyed roving, 100% pure merino, and it's 4 ounces, 113 grams approximately. Made in Uruguay, where the rest of RGO comes from. And well, the whole story is this. Angela was, again, Donna Guida, was ordering RGO yarn anyway for her shop. And I asked if it was possible for her to order some of this roving, because I would really like to try out this roving. And she said she'd see about it, and if I had any preference for colors. So I gave her a list of the colors I liked, and she managed to get her hands on a pack of roving. So I was super happy with this, and I got Wales Road. There you go. A lot of color changes in there. So I've already decided, and I got 2 of them, because I was like, well, if I'm going to get some, I might as well get 2 of them and get a decent quantity of yarn out of it to maybe pair it with some with RGO sock or something, like maybe a gray color. She has like a really nice gray color there. Might not be available, but I can ask her if she can get her hands on some more. So yeah, I probably already know which sweater I want to knit with this as well, if I get a decent amount of yardage. We'll see. So this is next on the spinning wheel, and I totally forgot, because I was going to show you what I've been spinning, and again I've put it away, and I don't even know where I put the bobbin, the full bobbin, because I had to hide it from soot. But I have 50 grams left to finish of the monster, which is the name of the yarn, the colorway that I was spinning, and then I can apply it together, and then I can start on these 2. I mean, realistically, I could start on these 2, but I want to finish that one first, so that I don't have a whip, so to speak, in the spinning section as well. I already have enough whips in the crochet and the knitting. I don't need, not to talk cross stitching even, because yeah. So yeah, you'll be seeing this soon, I hope. What I can say is that Angela started spinning up her, because I think a pack comes with four of these, what do you call them, braids of roving, and Angela started spinning up yesterday straight away, and it's super soft. I've never spun with 100% merino, so I'm going to see how easy or how difficult it is to spin. What I'm spinning right now is Falkland Corriedale, so it's a bit it's soft, but it's a bit rougher. It really sticks to one another. It really sticks so sometimes I have to make a bit more effort to pull it apart to be able to spin to the thickness that I want. But it's a really nice yarn to spin with, and I've spun up mohair, which I still have a whole bunch of pencil roving to spin up as well. And the other things I've spun, I don't think was 100% merino. 100% wool, but maybe not merino. And I have some other ones that I need to spin up as well. So yeah, I have more work cut out. But I'm gonna spin this up, and then I'm gonna Navajo ply it or 3-ply it, because that way I keep the colors going. That's my idea anyway. I'll see after it's spinning up if maybe I need to 2-ply it. We'll see. And that's basically it for today. I've shown you all my whips. I've shown you my finished project. I forgot to bring the bobbin to show you my spinning, but that's it. I've shown you the yarn acquisition, or the yarn that has come in. I have 3 pets that are dying of heat in here. I'm gonna have to switch on the fan quickly. I'm also dripping here. I need to get something to drink because my throat is really dry now. And yeah, we'll see what's on TV. I taped some stuff over the week, during the week, and I'll catch up now with that, and after publishing this, obviously, and then yeah, get to my knitting. So have a nice day whenever it is you're watching this, and have a nice week, and I'll try to podcast again next week. I didn't podcast last week because I didn't have much to show, and I had other things planned, so I don't really have any plans at the moment for next weekend, so I should be able to podcast, and who knows, I might have a finished cardigan, or almost finished cardigan, to show you. And maybe more squares on the Battenberg blanket. That one I've just been putting up on Instagram, a couple of squares every now and then, but now I'm gonna focus on the cardigan and on my spinning, because I really want to get this up on the wheel. I've tried spinning, if anyone's interested, I've tried spinning with the spindle, and it's not for me. I don't like it. I can't get a consistent yarn with the spindle. So the wheel, once I got the hang of the wheel, which is Ashford Joy, once I got the hang of the wheel, I've been able to spin pretty consistent yarn. Again, it depends on the fiber I'm using, but it's been pretty consistent, and I'm really happy with the yarn I've created so far. So I've not used any of it yet, because I've not found the right projects for them, but I will be hopefully knitting up some this year. Okay, I'm gonna go. I really need to get something to drink. I'm getting a really dry throat now, and I need to do some knitting, so enjoy your Sunday. Bye.